Millionaire's girlfriend celebrates seeing him sick, but the doctor sees everything and... Elena Mitchell adjusted her red dress and raised the champagne glass with a discreet smile, watching the unconscious man in the hospital bed. What should have been a moment of worry and anguish had turned into a silent celebration, but she didn't know she was being watched. From the hallway, Dr. Arthur Sterling watched the scene through the slightly open door, incredulous at such coldness. In 30 years as a cardiologist, he had witnessed many strange reactions from family members, but never anything like this. The woman whispered a few words into the phone that he couldn't fully understand, but the tone of victory was unmistakable. "Finally, I did it," she said softly before hanging up. The doctor felt a chill down his spine. Harrison Vance, 62 years old, had been there for 3 days after suffering a heart attack during a business meeting. The businessman, owner of several construction companies in New York City, had arrived at the hospital in serious but stable condition. His girlfriend, who introduced herself as Elena, had stayed by his side since then, showing apparent concern and affection. Arthur decided to enter the room with some excuse to observe the situation more closely. "How is he today?" he asked, pretending to check the machines. Elena quickly put the glass into a small purse and assumed the posture of a worried woman. "Doctor, he's not improving at all. I'm so distressed. When will he wake up?" The sudden change in behavior confirmed the doctor's suspicions. Something was very wrong with this situation. "Vital signs are stable. Mr. Vance is responding well to treatment. It's just a matter of time." "Time," she repeated, and for a moment, Arthur noticed a flash of anxiety in her eyes. That afternoon, while reviewing Harrison's chart, Dr. Arthur started making some discreet phone calls. He discovered that Elena and Harrison had been together for only 8 months, a relationship that began right after his separation from his ex-wife, Victoria, after 25 years of marriage. The hospital receptionist mentioned that Elena had asked strange questions in the first few days. "She wanted to know about wills, doctor. She asked if when a person is hospitalized like that, the family can make decisions about the assets. I thought it was weird." Arthur also learned that she had called other hospitals in the city, always asking about similar cases to Harrison's. What kind of person does that when their boyfriend is fighting for his life? The next day, the doctor decided to observe Elena more closely. She arrived at the hospital in the morning, as always elegantly dressed, this time in a navy blue blouse and a black skirt. Her blonde hair was perfectly styled, and she carried an expensive designer bag. "Good morning, doctor. How was the night?" she asked, referring to Harrison. "No complications. He's stable." Arthur noticed she seemed relieved, but not in the way a worried girlfriend would be. It was as if his stable condition was important for some plan. During the visit, Elena's phone rang. She looked at the screen and her expression changed completely. Her face went pale, and she quickly left the room to answer. Curious, Arthur approached the door and managed to hear parts of the conversation. "I already told you I need more time." "No, he still hasn't. You don't understand. It's more complicated than I thought. Please, 1 more week." When she returned, she was visibly nervous, her eyes red as if she had been crying. "Is everything okay?" asked Arthur. Yes, just some family issues." But the doctor noticed that her hands trembled slightly as she touched Harrison's face. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, feel free to leave a like and especially subscribe to the channel. That really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. That afternoon, Arthur made a discovery that changed everything. Talking to the head nurse, Martha, a woman in her 50s who had worked there for decades, he learned some disturbing details. "Dr. Arthur, last night I saw her tampering with Mr. Harrison's IV, Martha said in a low voice. When I asked what she was doing, she said she was just checking to see if everything was fine, but it seemed to me like she was putting something in there. Are you sure? Not absolutely, but it was strange. And there's one more thing. This morning she asked Sarah at the front desk how long a person could stay hospitalized in a condition like this without the family interfering in medical decisions. Arthur felt he needed to investigate further. He requested a detailed analysis of Harrison's blood to check for any foreign substances in his system. He also asked the nursing staff to keep a closer eye on Elena's movements. However, what he found in the tests left him even more confused. There was no foreign substance in Harrison's blood. In fact, the medication levels were exactly where they should be. If Elena was really tampering with the IV, she wasn't doing anything to harm the patient. So why the strange behavior? The answer started to emerge when Harrison showed the first signs of improvement. On the 4th day of hospitalization, he began responding to stimuli and moving his eyes. Eleanor, who was by his side when this happened, had an unexpected reaction. Instead of being happy, she seemed to panic. "Dr. Arthur, is this normal? Is he okay? Will he have any lasting effects?" "These are very positive signs. He'll likely wake up completely in the next few hours." Eleanor was visibly shaken by the news. She quickly left the room and Arthur discreetly followed her. In the hallway, she made another phone call, this time more desperate. "He's waking up." "No, it didn't work. I couldn't. I know they promised more time, but it wasn't my fault. Please don't do that to me." Arthur understood that Elena was involved in something very serious, but he still couldn't quite grasp what. He decided to confront her directly. "Elena, I need to talk to you." She turned around, trying to hide her despair. "Of course, Dr. Arthur, about Harrison." "About you, I know something wrong is happening here." Her face went completely pale. "I don't know what you're talking about. I know about the phone calls, the questions about wills, the strange behavior. I also know you were tampering with his IV." Eleanor looked around as if searching for an escape. Then, to Arthur's surprise, she burst into tears. "Please, Dr. Arthur, don't report me to the hospital administration. I can explain everything, but it's not what you think." "Then explain." She took a deep breath and looked directly at him. "I wasn't trying to hurt Harrison. Quite the opposite. I was trying to save him." "What do you mean?" "Doctor, I discovered something terrible. His ex-wife, Victoria, she hired someone to harm him." Arthur felt a chill. This was getting more serious than he imagined. "Go on." "A few weeks ago, I found messages on his phone. Victoria was talking to a man about how easy it would be to trigger a heart attack in someone using certain substances. They were planning to do it during a business meeting." "And why didn't you go to the police?" "Because I don't have solid proof. The messages were deleted, and who would believe me over her? She has a law degree, connections, respect in society. I'm just a woman who met Harrison a few months ago." Arthur was trying to process all this information. "And the champagne celebration?" Elena turned red with embarrassment. "I was celebrating because I thought he had survived whatever they did to him. And also because I managed to swap the medications he takes at home for similar ones, but without substances that could interact badly with whatever they gave him." "What medications?" "He takes blood pressure medication. I found out that if you mix it with certain substances, it can cause a heart attack, so I swapped them for similar but safer ones." "And the phone calls?" "They were from my ex-husband. He's threatening me because he found out about my relationship with Harrison. He wants money to keep quiet about some things from my past." Arthur was beginning to see the situation from a completely different perspective. "What things from your past?" Eleanor hesitated before answering. "I was married to a violent man for 15 years. When I finally managed to leave him, I had to change cities, change my name, start a new life. Harrison doesn't know any of this. To him, I'm just Elena who works at a clothing store and met him at a party. And now your ex-husband has found out where you are." "Exactly. And he wants $200,000 to not tell Harrison about my past, about the times I had to be hospitalized because of the beatings, about how I fled in the middle of the night." The story was getting more and more complicated. Arthur realized he had misjudged the situation from the start. "And do you have that money?" "No. That's why I was asking about wills and inheritances. Not because I want Harrison to die, but because I'm desperately trying to find a way to get that money without telling him about my past." "Why don't you tell him the truth?" "Because I'm afraid he'll see me differently, that he'll think I got close to him for the money, that he won't believe in my love." Arthur took a deep breath. The situation was much more delicate than he had imagined. "And about his ex-wife, are you sure about what you saw?" "I am. That's why I started switching his medications and paying closer attention. I'm afraid she might try again. At that moment, Harrison began to wake up fully. Arthur and Elena quickly entered the room. "Harrison, can you hear me?" said the doctor. Harrison slowly opened his eyes and focused first on Arthur, then on Eleanor. Where am I?" "In the hospital, honey. You had a heart attack, but you're fine now," said Eleanor, holding his hand. "A heart attack?" "During the meeting." "Yes. But you're safe now," she said, and Arthur noticed the careful choice of words. Harrison tried to sit up, but Arthur stopped him. "Take it easy. You need to stay hospitalized for a few more days for observation." "Elena, you stayed here all this time?" "Of course, I wouldn't leave your side for anything in this world." Arthur watched the interaction between them and realized that Elena's love for Harrison was genuine. But there were still many unanswered questions. Later, when Harrison fell asleep again, Arthur called Elena for a private conversation. "We need to decide how to proceed regarding your suspicions about his ex-wife. I know it sounds crazy, but Dr. Arthur, I saw the messages. If you're right, Harrison might be in danger when he leaves the hospital. That's exactly what worries me." Arthur thought for a few moments. "Here's what I'll do. I'll extend his hospital stay for a few more days, citing the need for more tests. That will give us time to investigate the situation further." "Do you believe me?" "I believe you're worried about him. And if there's even the slightest chance that your suspicions are correct, we can't ignore it. And about my ex-husband, that's a more complicated matter. You need to decide whether you want to tell Harrison or if you'd rather handle this on your own." "I'd rather handle it on my own." "Elena, blackmail is a crime. You could seek legal help." "And expose my entire story?" "No." "I'd rather find another way." Arthur was worried, but he respected her decision. The next day, Harrison was much more lucid and started asking questions about what had happened. "The meeting was going normally," he said to Elena and Arthur. "We were discussing a new project when suddenly I felt a sharp pain in my chest." "Did you eat or drink anything different that day?" Arthur asked. "Yes, Victoria had sent a special coffee to the meeting. She said it was a way to apologize for the fights during the divorce." Eleanor and Arthur exchanged meaningful glances. "Did you drink that coffee?" the doctor insisted. "Yes, I did. Why?" "Just to make sure it wasn't an allergic reaction to something." Harrison seemed to accept the explanation, but Eleanor was increasingly convinced her suspicions were correct. When they were alone, she told Arthur about the coffee. "This proves everything, Dr. Arthur. She really tried to harm him. It could just be a coincidence." "Do you really believe that?" Arthur had to admit that it was becoming harder and harder to believe in coincidences. "I'll request a more specific toxicology test on his blood. If there's any foreign substance, it might still be detectable. And if it is, then we'll have to involve the authorities." While they waited for the test results, Eleanor's situation with her ex-husband was deteriorating. He had called again, this time threatening to show up at the hospital if she didn't give him an answer by the end of the week. "I'm going to tell your little boyfriend who you really are," he said, during a call that Arthur partially overheard in the hallway. "Please, Gary, don't do this to me," Elena pleaded. $200,000, Elena, or your new life becomes a nightmare." When she hung up the phone, she was trembling. "Can I help you in any way?" Arthur offered. "No, Dr. Arthur. Thank you, but this is something I need to handle on my own." "Blackmail is a crime, Elena. You don't have to go through this alone. If I report my ex-husband, the whole story will come out. Harrison will find out about my past, and I'll lose him anyway." Arthur understood her dilemma but felt powerless to help. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to hit like and especially subscribe to the channel. That helps us a lot as we're just getting started. Now, continuing. On the third day after Harrison woke up, the results of the toxicology tests were ready. Arthur called Elena for a private meeting in his office. The tests detected traces of digitalis in his blood. "What's that?" "It's a substance that in small doses is used as a heart medication, but in larger doses it can cause severe arrhythmias and heart attack. The amount found in his blood is consistent with a dose that could have been lethal if he hadn't received medical attention quickly. Eleanor was silent for a few moments, absorbing the information. So I was right. She really tried to kill him. It appears so. The question now is, what do we do with this information? We need to protect Harrison. That means involving the police. But how do we prove it was her? We only have the fact that there was digitalis in his blood, but that doesn't prove she put it there. Arthur knew Elena was right. It would be their word against Victoria's. Maybe if you could get her to confess. How? I don't know. Maybe if Harrison pretended to be worse off than he really is, she might try again. That's very dangerous. It is dangerous, but it might be the only way to catch her in the act. Elena thought about the proposal. I'd have to tell Harrison everything. Probably so. And what if he doesn't believe me? Eleanor, you saved his life by swapping his medications at home. If you hadn't done that, the dose of digitalis could have been fatal. He needs to know. She took a deep breath. All right. I'll tell him. That afternoon, Eleanor told Harrison the whole truth about the messages she had seen, about her suspicions about swapping the medications. To her surprise, he wasn't angry. Why didn't you tell me this before? He asked. Because I thought you wouldn't believe me. Eleanor, I trust you, and what you're telling me makes sense. Victoria had been acting very strange in the weeks leading up to the divorce, very interested in knowing about my medications, my routine. So you believe me? I do. And now we need to decide what to do. Harrison agreed with the plan to pretend to be worse in order to try to get Victoria to incriminate herself. Arthur set everything up so it would look like Harrison had relapsed and was in serious condition again. Eleanor called Victoria, pretending to be desperate. Victoria, Harrison is very bad. The doctors say he might not make it. Oh, how terrible. I'm coming to the hospital right now. When Victoria arrived at the hospital, she found Harrison apparently unconscious, with Elena crying beside him. How did this happen? Victoria asked. The doctors can't explain it. He was getting better, and then suddenly got much worse. Arthur entered the room at that moment. I'm sorry to inform you, but his condition has deteriorated significantly. We're doing everything we can, but... Doctor, how long does he have? Victoria asked, trying to hide the anxiety in her voice. Hard to say. Maybe a few hours, at most a few days. Eleanor noticed that Victoria seemed relieved by the information, even though she tried to hide it. Can I stay with him alone for a few minutes? Victoria asked. After all, we were married for 25 years. Eleanor hesitated, but Arthur gave a discreet signal for her to agree. Of course, I'll go get some coffee. Eleanor and Arthur left the room, but they watched through a security camera that had been discreetly installed. Victoria approached the bed where Harrison was apparently unconscious. I warned you not to divorce me, she said in a low voice. Now it's too late. She opened her purse and pulled out a small syringe. This time it's going to work. This time there's no way you'll survive. Victoria was about to inject something into Harrison's IV when he opened his eyes. Victoria. She was so startled that she dropped the syringe on the floor. Harrison, you were awake? I was pretending. I wanted to see how far you would go. I wasn't doing anything, I was just... You were trying to kill me for the second time. Victoria fell silent, trying to formulate a response. I don't know what you're talking about. I know about the digitalis in the coffee you sent to the meeting. Victoria's face went white. You can't prove anything. Actually, I can. All of this is being recorded. Victoria looked around and saw the camera. At that moment, Elena and Arthur entered the room, accompanied by 2 hospital security guards. Victoria, you're being detained for attempted murder, Arthur said. She tried to run, but the security guards stopped her. You can't do this to me. I'm a lawyer. I know my rights. And we know our duties, Arthur replied. The police have already been called. When the police arrived, they found Victoria still trying to deny everything, but the evidence was irrefutable. The substance in the syringe she had brought was a concentrated dose of digitalis, enough to kill Harrison. During the interrogation, she ended up confessing everything. The motive was financial. Harrison had changed his will after the divorce, leaving everything to charities. If he died before getting seriously involved with someone else, Victoria could still contest the will and keep part of the inheritance. "I didn't really want to kill him," she told the police. "I just wanted him to get sick enough so I could take care of him and win him back." But the evidence showed that the doses she had used were potentially fatal. With Victoria in custody and the case resolved, Harrison and Eleanor could finally focus on their relationship. He was discharged from the hospital a week later. "Elena, I need to tell you something," Harrison said when they got home. "What?" "I know about your ex-husband." Elena was surprised. "How?" "Dr. Arthur told me, and I want you to know that it doesn't change anything about how I feel about you." "Harrison, let me finish. You went through tough situations, but that doesn't define who you are today. And what you did to protect me, even at the risk of exposing yourself, shows the kind of person you really are." Elena started crying. "I was so afraid you would judge me." "Never. And about your ex-husband, we'll deal with it together. I don't want you to get involved in this mess. Eleanor, we're a couple now. One's problems are both's problems." Harrison hired a lawyer specializing in blackmail and domestic violence cases. Gary, Eleanor's ex-husband, was arrested for extortion and eventually sentenced to 3 years in prison. During the trial, Elena had to relive difficult moments from her past, but Harrison was always by her side, giving her strength and support. "You are the bravest woman I know," he told her on the day Gary was convicted. "I only did what I had to do to survive." "Exactly. And now we're going to build a new life together, without fear, without secrets." 6 months later, Harrison proposed to Elena during a romantic dinner at home. "Eleanor Mitchell, will you marry me?" "Harrison, Before you answer, I want you to know that I'm not asking you to marry me just because you saved my life or because we went through tough situations together. I'm asking because I love you exactly as you are, with your past, your scars, your strength." "Yes, I want to marry you." The wedding took place at the hospital where they had gotten to know each other better, in a simple ceremony officiated by Dr. Arthur, who had become a great friend of the couple. "You taught me that sometimes the toughest situations can lead us to the right people," he said during the ceremony. In the same room where Elena had discreetly celebrated thinking Harrison was out of danger, she now openly celebrated the true love she had found. Who would have thought that a glass of champagne drunk in desperation would turn into a toast of happiness, she commented to Harrison during the party. "Life has its ironies," he replied, "but I wouldn't change anything that happened because it all brought me to you." Dr. Arthur, watching the couple's happiness, reflected on how he had almost misinterpreted the entire situation. If he had acted hastily, he could have destroyed an innocent person's life. "Doctor," Elena said to him during the party, "thank you for believing in me when I needed it most." "Thank you for teaching me not to judge by appearances," he replied. Harrison and Elena bought a new house in Greenwich, far from the bad memories of the past. They decided to start a completely new life, without ghosts or fears. Harrison reduced his workload at the companies to spend more time with his wife. He discovered that he had devoted too many years to work and missed many important moments in life. "Victoria wasn't completely wrong about one thing," he said to Elena one night. "I really worked too much and didn't pay enough attention to the people I loved." "But you changed." "I changed because I found someone worth changing for." Elena went back to school and finished her psychology degree that she had abandoned years before when she married Gary. She wanted to help other women going through similar situations to what she had experienced. "It's amazing how you turned your pain into strength to help others," commented Harrison proudly. "I learned that we can't change what happened to us, but we can choose what to do with those experiences." 2 years after the wedding, Eleanor opened a support center for women victims of domestic violence. Harrison funded the project, but insisted that she be in charge of everything. "This is your dream, not mine. I'm just here to support." The center started small with only 3 employees, but grew quickly. Elena discovered that she had a natural gift for helping other women rebuild their lives. "She saved my life," said one of the women helped during a center event. "Not only did she help me leave an abusive relationship, but she showed me that it was possible to be happy again." Arthur became a volunteer doctor at the center, offering free care to women who needed medical attention. "You inspired me to use my profession for something greater than just treating diseases," he said during a meeting. The center expanded and began to also offer legal support, vocational courses, and psychological counseling. Elena became a reference in the field, giving lectures and training for other professionals. Her story of overcoming adversity inspired many people. "Sometimes I think that everything I went through was necessary so that I could help other women today," she said during an interview with a local newspaper. Harrison remained impressed by his wife's transformation. "You've become an even stronger woman than when I met you. It's because now I know I have someone who supports me unconditionally." The couple decided not to have biological children, but adopted 2 girls who were at risk, Chloe, 8 years old, and Mia, 10 years old. "We want to give them what we didn't have, a safe home full of love," said Eleanor. The girls adapted quickly to their new family. Harrison discovered that he loved being a father and devoted himself completely to his daughters. "Dad Harrison, can you help me with my homework?" asked Chloe one afternoon. "Of course, Princess, always." Eleanor watched the interactions between her husband and the girls with emotion. She had found not only a great love, but a true family. On their 5th wedding anniversary, they organized a party at the center Eleanor had created. All the women who had been helped over the years were present, along with staff, volunteers, and friends. "5 years ago, I was in a hospital bed pretending to celebrate because I thought I had saved the life of the man I loved," said Elena during her speech. "Today I celebrate a life we built together, and that allowed us to save many other lives." Harrison hugged her emotionally. "To think I almost lost you because of my own fears and prejudices. You didn't lose me, and now nothing will separate us." Dr. Arthur also gave an emotional speech. "You taught me that a doctor doesn't just treat diseases, but people, and people always deserve a second chance to tell their story." The party continued into the early morning, with many tears of joy and stories of overcoming being shared. One of the women present, named Gladys, told how Elena had changed her life. "I was ready to give up on everything when I met Elena. She showed me that I could start over at 50 years old. Today I have my own business, and my kids are proud of me." Stories like that kept happening over and over. Eleanor's work had impacted hundreds of families. "Sometimes I wonder if I really deserve this much happiness," she said to Harrison as they drove home after the party. "You deserve every moment of it. You turned pain into love, fear into courage." The next morning, Chloe and Mia woke up early to make a special coffee for their parents. "Mom, Eleanor, you and Dad Harrison are the best parents in the world," Mia said as she poured the coffee. "You saved us," Chloe added. Eleanor and Harrison exchanged emotional glances. They had found a way to turn their own near-loss experiences into an endless source of love and care. "We were the ones saved by you two," Elena replied, hugging her daughters. At that moment, Harrison received a call from the lawyer informing him that Victoria had been released from prison but was being transferred to a psychiatric hospital after having a breakdown. "The doctor said she's no longer a danger to anyone," the lawyer explained. "She's being treated for severe depression and personality disorder." Harrison hung up and told Elena, "You know, I feel sorry for her," Elena said. "Sorry?" "Yes, she wasted so much time trying to destroy other people's happiness that she forgot to build her own." "You have such a big heart. I learned that holding a grudge only hurts us. I'd rather use my energy to build good things." Eleanor's philosophy of life continued to influence everyone around her. At the center, she always preached forgiveness and rebuilding, not just running away from problems. "It's not enough to leave a bad situation," she told the women she helped. "You have to learn to build a good life." The center expanded again and started also serving men who had suffered abuse and children at risk. The methodology Elena developed was being studied by universities. "Your approach is revolutionizing how we treat trauma," a university professor said during a visit to the center. "It's not revolution, it's evolution," Elena replied. "To evolve means turning negative experiences into positive strength." Harrison was prouder of his wife every day. He had redirected a large part of his business towards social activities, inspired by her work. "You taught me that success isn't measured only by money," he said during a joint interview they gave to a magazine. "And you taught me that it's possible to be vulnerable without being weak," Eleanor added. The couple had become a reference for healthy relationships, even though they started in such adverse circumstances. "Sometimes people ask me how we managed to build such a solid marriage after everything we've been through," Elena said during a talk about relationships. "The answer is simple. We choose to trust each other every day. And we choose to grow together, not just stay together," Harrison added. 10 years after it all began in that hospital room, Elena and Harrison were honored by the city mayor for their services to the community. "Your work has saved more lives than any medical treatment could," the mayor said during the ceremony. Dr. Arthur, now director of the hospital, was also there. "I've followed this story from the beginning, and I can say you are proof that miracles happen when good people meet." Chloe and Mia, now teenagers, were proud of their parents. "When I grow up, I want to be like Mom Elena," Chloe said. "And I want to be like Dad Harrison," Mia added. "You're going to be better than both of us," said Elena, hugging her daughters. That night, after the ceremony, Elena and Harrison returned to the hospital where it all began. They asked to see the room where Harrison had been hospitalized. "It's strange being here again," said Elena. "Why?" "Because this time I'm not afraid of what the future might bring." They stood in silence for a few minutes, remembering everything they had been through. "Do you regret anything?" asked Harrison. "I regret taking so long to trust you completely. And you?" "I regret not realizing sooner that Victoria had serious problems. Yes. Maybe we could have stopped her from getting to the point of trying to hurt me. We can't change the past, only learn from it." "That's true. And I've learned that I love you more every day. Even when I was a stranger, discreetly celebrating your recovery. Especially because you cared about me even when I didn't know it." They left the hospital hand in hand, looking toward the future with hope and gratitude. "You know what I love most about our story," said Elena in the car. "What?" "That it started with lies and secrets, but turned into the most beautiful truth I've ever lived. Our truth. Our truth." On the way home, they passed the center Elena had founded. Even though it was night, some lights were on because it also served as a temporary shelter. "How many people do you think have come through here?" asked Harrison. "Over 2,000 women and their families. But it's not the number that matters. It's the lives that have been transformed. Like yours was transformed. Like ours was transformed." When they got home, Chloe and Mia were waiting in the living room with a cake they had made to celebrate their parents' honor. "Surprise!" they both shouted. "You two are amazing," said Elena, emotional. "We want you to know we're proud to have you as our parents," said Mia. "And we love you so much," added Chloe. The family gathered around the kitchen table to eat the cake. Harrison watched the scene and remembered how empty his life had been before he met Elena. "What are you thinking about?" she asked, noticing his distant look. "I was thinking that if someone had told me 10 years ago I'd be this happy after almost losing my life, I wouldn't have believed it. Life has those surprises. The best surprises." Chloe and Mia started telling them about their plans for the future. Chloe wanted to study psychology, like Elena, and Mia was thinking about medicine, like Dr. Arthur. "You can be whatever you want," said Harrison. "We'll support whatever choices you make. As long as you're happy and help other people the way you helped us," added Eleanor. "That's a promise," the girls said in unison. Later, when the girls went to sleep, Eleanor and Harrison stayed in the garden, talking about their plans for the future. "I was thinking about expanding the center to other cities," she said. "That's a great idea. I can help with contacts and investments. I want to do it sustainably, so it doesn't depend only on our money. We can set up an NGO and look for partnerships. Exactly. I want it to keep existing even when we're no longer here. We'll still be here for a long time. I hope so. But I want to leave a legacy bigger than the two of us." Harrison hugged his wife. "You've already left a legacy, love. Every life you've transformed is a piece of you that continues in the world. And every person we help can help others too. It's an endless cycle, a cycle of love and care that started with a glass of champagne drunk in despair and turned into thousands of toasts of hope. They stood watching the stars in the sky, planning the future and giving thanks for the present. Harrison? Yes? Thank you for believing in me when even I didn't believe in myself. Thank you for saving my life in every possible way. I love you. I love you too. The conversation was interrupted by Mia, who came downstairs to get a glass of water. Do you two always stay up late talking ways? She asked. We still have a lot to talk about, Elena replied. Can I stay with you for a bit? Of course, come here, said Harrison, making room on the garden bench. Mia settled between them. Are you going to be happy forever? We'll try, said Elena. But happiness isn't something that happens on its own. It's something we build every day. How? By choosing to be kind to each other, forgiving mistakes, celebrating achievements and facing problems together, explained Harrison. Sounds easy. It's not easy, but it's worth it, said Elena. And you girls are one of the main reasons our happiness is so complete, even though we're adopted? Especially because you're adopted, said Harrison. You were chosen out of love, not by chance. Mia smiled and hugged them both. I choose you too. And forever, said Chloe, who had also come downstairs and heard the conversation. Forever, Eleanor and Harrison confirmed together. The family spent another hour talking in the garden, further strengthening the bonds that united them. When they finally went to sleep, Eleanor looked at the bedroom mirror and remembered the insecure, frightened woman she had been years ago. Look at what you've become, said Harrison, hugging her from behind. Look at what we've become. The best version of ourselves. They lay down and talked softly until they fell asleep, as they did every night. Sweet dreams, my love, said Harrison, mixing Portuguese and Spanish as he always did when he was very happy. Sweet dreams to you too. With you, all dreams are sweet. The next morning, Elena woke up before everyone else and went to the kitchen to prepare breakfast for the family. It was a ritual she loved because it gave her time to reflect on the gratitude she felt. Harrison appeared a few minutes later, still sleepy. Good morning, love of my life. Good morning, my dear. Did you sleep well? I always sleep well next to you. The girls came downstairs shortly after, already dressed for school. Good morning, Mom Elena. Good morning, Dad Harrison, they said in unison. Good morning, princesses, replied Harrison. During breakfast, they talked about plans for the weekend. Chloe had a volleyball game at school, and Mia wanted to visit a science museum. We can do both, said Elena. We'll go to Chloe's game in the morning and to the museum in the afternoon. That means we'll have to wake up early on Saturday, Mia joked. A family that wakes up early together stays happy together, said Harrison, making up a saying. Everyone laughed at the nonsensical phrase. You're so funny, Dad, said Chloe. Only when I'm happy, and I'm always happy with you. After the girls left for school, Elena and Harrison took advantage of having another coffee together, as they did every morning. What do you have planned for today, Ray? She asked. Meeting with the NGO team in the morning, lunch with investors interested in the community center project, and in the afternoon, I want to stop by the hospital to talk to Dr. Arthur about expanding the volunteer services. Full day. And you? Individual sessions in the morning, team meeting at lunch, and in the afternoon, I'm going to visit the land we're thinking of buying for the second center. We're both very busy, but it's a good kind of busy. The best kind being busy helping other people and building our dreams. They finished their coffee and got ready for another day of work. Before leaving, Harrison hugged Elena at the door. I love you, incredible woman. I love you, wonderful man. See you tonight. We see each other all the time. During the day, each one followed their routine, but they constantly exchanged messages, like a couple in love. How's your morning going? Harrison. Great. I helped a woman who's starting over after 20 years of an abusive marriage. And yours? Eleanor, productive meeting. The investors are very interested in the project. I'll tell you all about it tonight. Harrison, I can't wait. I love you. Elena, I love you more. Harrison. At the end of the afternoon, when they met at home, Both were tired but happy with the productive day. "How was the visit to the property?" asked Harrison. "Perfect, it's exactly what we need. Spacious, well-located, fair price." "Great. And the meeting with the investors was excellent too. They want to fund not only the construction but also the first 2 years of operation." "That's wonderful. In 6 months we can have the second center up and running." The girls came home from school excited about the day's news. Chloe had been chosen for the main volleyball team, and Mia had gotten a perfect score on a science test. "What a family of successes," said Elena. "We have to celebrate." "Pizza tonight?" suggested Harrison. "Yes," the girls shouted. During dinner, each one talked about their day, sharing joys and challenges. "You know what I like most about our dinners?" said Mia. "What?" everyone asked. "It's that you always really listen to us. In my previous family, the adults only talked and never listened to the children." "Here you are heard, respected, and loved," said Eleanor. "Forever," added Harrison. "Forever," Chloe and Mia repeated. After dinner, the family gathered in the living room to watch a movie. It was a tradition they faithfully kept. At least one night a week was dedicated exclusively to being together. "What movie are we watching tonight?" asked Chloe. "How about we let Mia choose, since she got a perfect score?" suggested Harrison. "Can it be that movie about the girl who becomes a scientist?" asked Mia. "Sure," said Elena. During the movie, Harrison watched his family and felt deep gratitude for everything they had built together. Elena noticed his look and smiled, holding his hand. They didn't need to say anything. The love between them was palpable and contagious. Chloe and Mia snuggled between them, creating a scene of perfect family harmony. When the movie ended, the girls went to their room, but came back a few minutes later. "We forgot to say goodnight properly," said Chloe. They hugged Elena and Harrison affectionately. "Good night, Mom Elena. Thank you for being the best mom in the world." "Good night, Dad Harrison. Thank you for being the best dad in the world." "Good night, princesses. Dream of beautiful things," said Harrison. "Dream that tomorrow will be an even better day than today," added Eleanor. When they were alone, Eleanor and Harrison went to the garden again, as they did every night. "Another perfect day," she said. "All our days are perfect." "Not all. We have problems, worries, fatigue, but we have each other to share all of that, and that makes any day perfect." "You're right." They stayed silent for a few minutes, just enjoying each other's company. "Harrison?" "Yes?" "If you could go back in time and change something about our story, would you?" Harrison thought for a few seconds. "I would change the circumstances that made you suffer with your ex-husband. I would change the fact that Victoria tried to harm me. But I wouldn't change the final outcome because all of that brought us here. That's exactly what I think. And you? Would you change anything? Maybe I would have told you my true story sooner, but I also understand that everything happens in its own time. In our time. In our perfect time." They got up to go to sleep, but Harrison stopped at the door. "Elena?" "Yes?" "Thank you." "For what?" "For saving me, for loving me, for building this beautiful family with me, for showing me that life is worth living to the fullest." Elena kissed him tenderly. "Thank you for showing me that I deserve to be loved, for giving me a family, for supporting my dreams, and for dreaming along with me. We're a team, the best team in the world." They went upstairs hand in hand, grateful for another day of shared happiness. In the bedroom, as they got ready for bed, they talked about their plans for the weekend. "Don't forget we promised to take the girls to the mall on Sunday," Eleanor reminded him. "I haven't forgotten. They want to buy gifts for their friends from school. It's so good to see them making real friendships. That's what happens when children feel safe and loved. They can open up to the world. Like I did when I met you. And like I did when I met you." They lay down and talked softly, as they always did before falling asleep. "Have you ever thought about what we'll be like when we're old?" Eleanor asked. "I imagine we'll keep talking every night, even if it's about meds and doctors," Harrison joked. "And we'll still hold hands. Always holding hands. And the girls will come visit us with their kids. And we'll be the most loving grandparents in the world. I can't wait." "Me neither, but I'm in no rush. I want to enjoy every moment we have now. Each day is a gift. Each day with you is the best gift I've ever received." They kissed and snuggled closer to sleep. "Good night, love of my life," Harrison whispered. "Good night, my heart," Elena replied. "May 1,000 more nights like this come. Not 1,000, millions. Millions of happy nights and millions of grateful nights." And so, embraced and at peace, they fell asleep, grateful for another day of a life they had built together with love, truth, and a lot of courage. The next morning, as on every morning for the past 10 years, Elena woke up first and went to prepare the family's coffee, reflecting on how grateful she was for a second chance at life and for having found people who loved her exactly as she was. Harrison woke up shortly after and found her smiling in the kitchen. "Why that beautiful smile so early in the morning?" "I was thinking about how lucky I am." We are lucky. Life is good when shared with the right people. And we found the right people. The girls came downstairs for another family breakfast, and the cycle of love and gratitude began again, as it did every day in that house full of happiness. End of story. So what did you think of this story of overcoming and true love? Leave in the comments which part moved you the most, and if you know anyone who went through similar situations. Don't forget to like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other emotional stories like this one.